Hey YouTube, this is Fanduel God One on Instagram, Fanduel God One on Twitter. Today I'm gonna be showing you my Fanduel Week 9 lineup that I have set up today. So if you have any questions, go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Fanduel God One. Follow me on Twitter, Fanduel God One. As you can see, I'm going with the stack with the Giants, Eli Manning, and Odell Beckham Jr. They did have a big game last week against the Saints. Not as big as Drew Brees. He did have 7 touchdowns, so he was huge in that game. I am disappointed that I didn't have Drew Brees on any of my lineups. Most of the wide receivers for the Saints and the tight end Watson had a big games. Cooks, Snead, Watson, even Colston had a huge game. So really disappointed, but hoping to come back this week with this lineup. So I am going with Eli Manning. They are playing the Bucks. The Bucks have one of the worst defense in the NFL. They are ranked last against the wide receivers. So I do expect OBJ to have a big game against the Bucks and Eli Manning as well. Hopefully he throws the ball a lot. Odell Beckham Jr. had 3 touchdowns last week, so I expect him to keep it going. Same with Eli Manning. For my running backs, I'm going with Chris Ivory. They are playing the Jaguars. Jaguars are coming off a bye. The Jaguars have really bad defense against the run, so I expect Chris Ivory to have a big game. Didn't have a big game last week against the Raiders for some reason, but I expect him to come back big. Hopefully score some touchdowns against the Jaguars. For my other running back, I'm going with Doug Martin against the Giants. I expect this game to be a high-scoring game, so I do have Doug Martin here. He could be getting some touches in the passing game. The Giants are just horrible against the passing, as you saw last week, so should have a couple of receiving touchdowns, hopefully some big runs, and hopefully score big. Maybe 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 4 touchdowns overall. That would be huge. So I do like Martin this week against the Giants. I'm going back to Snead against the Titans. Titans have a really bad defense, so I expect Snead to keep it going. He did have 2 touchdowns last week, so he is one of Drew Brees' favorite receivers, and the Titans don't really have no one to cover him, so do expect him to have a big game, and hopefully he has some targets there with Brees. For my other wide receiver, I'm going with Allen Robinson. They are playing the Jets, and Bortles should have a big game there against the Jets, the New York Jets. They are coming off a bye week. Allen Robinson has been huge this year. His price went down on FanDuel because of the bye week, so that's why I picked him up. He has had touchdowns in the last 3 games, 4 touchdowns, and averaging, I would say, 16 points in the last 4 games. So that's pretty good. He could be a big threat right there against the Jets, so I expect him to have a big game there. Ben Watson has just been really playing good lately. He is getting open in the middle of the field, so he could have a big game again against the Titans that don't really have no one to cover him there in the tight end position. For my kicker, I'm going with Chris Boswell. Pittsburgh is playing Oakland. I expect Big Ben to move the ball down the field and score a lot of touchdowns, getting goal field position. That means more field goals for Chris Boswell against the Raiders. When you're choosing a kicker, you do want to choose a kicker that hasn't missed any field goals or any extra points. As you can see, he has been perfect in the 4 games that he's played. He hasn't really had any big opportunities. Last week, he only had 1 field goal and 1 extra point. So Hopefully against the Raiders, that means more touchdowns or more field goals there for Boswell. So I do like him this week as a kicker. But again, with kickers, you can't really tell who's going to score big, so you can just go with anyone. And hopefully they score big for your lineup. For defense, I'm going with the Rams. Usually defenses are what makes the difference there on the lineups and to see if you win some money or not. So you do want to choose a big defense that can score you points. I do suggest the Rams defense because they have been playing really well. And this week they're playing the Minnesota Vikings. Bridgewater hasn't really been playing to expectations. He is playing well, but he has also thrown some interceptions. So if he can go ahead and throw a couple of those this week for the Rams defense to score big on defense, hopefully score at least a touchdown, that would be huge for this lineup and for the defense. So as you can see, they have had around 15 points, averaging 15 points in the last 5 weeks. So that's pretty consistent. I would say the Rams are one of the most consistent defense week to week. So I do like them this week against the Vikings. AP, Stefan Diggs haven't really been playing to expectations. Adrian Peterson is not running the ball well, so I do expect the Rams defense to have a big impact there in the running game as well. So I do like this lineup. Hopefully I can score big this week. Didn't really go too well last week with the Phillip Rivers lineup, but I do like this lineup. So if you need any extra lineups, again, guys, you can send me a message on Fanduel Got One on Instagram, Fanduel Got One on Twitter. Go follow me or tweet me. I do have more lineups set up for this week. So if you need any extra lineups, who to bench, who to start, go ahead and send me a message there. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. I will be posting more lineups every week. So wait for that on my channel. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this lineup scores big. And you guys have a great night.